On a 2015 Jaguar XE today, we're going to be doing the front struts. I'm going to show you one side. The other side is the same, just a mirror image. So there's 3 13mm nuts up at the top here to hold it in, and then you need to jack up the car and take the wheel off. We're going to have a pinch bolt up here, so it's a 15mm and a 13mm on the other side. There's a Torx bolt on the very bottom, that one there, and you need to let go of the anti-roll link as well. That's a 15mm one as well. You might need to hold that with vice grips on the other side or something to get it to go. So I'm going to loosen those few bits and I'll come back to you then. So that's all the bolts loosened for now. So the anti-roll bar, the drop link, was here. I had to get a grip with vice grips here just to get the nut off. It's fairly rusty. Didn't do any damage to the boot there. The top, or the upper control arm, was a little bit corroded. It took a little bit to get out, so just in the front of the steering knuckle here, when you take the bolt out, I just hammered a wedge in here and then just kind of tipped up on the underside of the control arm just to pop it out. And then I just let go of this the wire here for the ABS. Just pops in, one here and then one here. That's it there. It's just kind of wiggle it out just so you don't put too much strain on it. And then if you just press down on the whole like press down on the brake disc or something like that, and you'll get the shock to come out then. So yeah, when you have the struts out on the bottom there now, that'll come clear of the lower control arm there when we're taking out the whole chuck. So we're going to release the top 3. It looks like there's more tension on that brake hose than there is. It's actually quite free. We're going to release the top 3 nuts then up here, and that'll have to strut out. So I'll go ahead and do that now and I'll come back to that. So I just like to mark, we have a little Tipp-Ex mark here pointing at the front bolt just for orientation when you take it out, and I have a dab of Tipp-Ex just on the top of the stud there, so it just pops out when you loosen those 3 bolts, and you can take the strut out then, and we'll bring it over to the bench then and get the spring compressors on and put in the new shock. So I have it here just in the bench vise. I like to mark just, with the spring, just for orientation for when it's going back together, top and bottom. Just a 19mm bolt on the top, or nut on the top. I use these type of spring compressors. I have another one there, but I figured not everyone has the bench style, so I'd use these. You can pick these up anywhere, relatively cheap. Don't know if the safest one would be my preferred type to use, but they get the job done. So yeah, when you have these compressed down all the way, that's when you loosen your top nut, and then the whole assembly will come away in one piece. Let me get that now in a second. So here's the new strut. It's the Jaguar part number there. So this is where I put the Tipp-Ex mark. That's where the bottom of the spring ends. So when you're putting it on, this lines up with that section there. I like to put a bit of just like a light lubricant on the anything that moves kind of. And so we're going to throw that strut up now and spring assembly on. So you can see there, that just lines up with the Tipp-Ex mark that I put on it. And a little jiggle on the top, and we get it all put together. So I'll get that moving on and I'll come back to you now in a sec. So that's the strut back in one piece there. You can see the spring sits into a little ridge here. There's a very similar one up at the top. Probably won't make it out, but that's why you want to mark these up with Tipp-Ex, just so as you know that the spring is sitting in the right place when you put it all back together. So this is the one here that I put the Tipp-Ex mark on, so when I'm going back to put it in the car, I know that this one goes to the hole where the arrow is pointing. So I'm gonna just hang it back in place and just start putting it back together then. So talk to you in 1 sec. So that's it back in place there. I didn't show the assembly, it's just too awkward one-handed. So drop link is pinched up there, the bottom, but the anti-roll link, and then the bottom strut bolt around this side. Let's see. Yep. So that Torx bolt there, and then the top hinge bolt. So when you're putting that together, there is a indentation on the ball joint that goes in, and it lines up. Let me get that to focus. Can't get it to focus, but there's an indentation that lines up with the bolt. Make sure you line it up that you have it pressed into the right. Don't try and bang the bolt in. It'll damage the bolt, and it'll also, the ball joint won't be in the correct position, so you're gonna be looking at a few issues there. But I just put a jack underneath the bottom ball joint to bring it up into place, and then I just prized a bit of pressure on the top here, and it slid right back in. You can see the line. You can see a line up when the bolt's not in it. You can see when it's lined up perfectly. The bolt should go in with very little resistance. The true bolt there, and just button up. So that's that. The top 3 bolts are tightened up like that. Just a little thing that I always do is that Tipp-Ex pipe there. But yeah, there we go. Yeah, I just put that little arrow and just a little drop of Tipp-Ex on the bolt here, just so as you know. It makes it an awful lot easier. Some cars, yeah, you can put them in 3 different ways, and it won't be right. You get a bit of noise coming out of the suspension when you're turning or going even over straight over a few speed bumps. So that's in place though. You just click back in the cable for the ABS here and here, and that's it. All I need to do now is put the wheel back on and get it back on the ground, bring it on a test drive. So if you're jacking up the car at all, make sure you use axle stands. I like to leave the jack underneath as well. One thing I did forget to say was that when you're doing this job, you need to have both wheels off the ground, both front wheels, because the anti-roll bar to be tension in it from the far side of the car. That will it'll just impede you getting it all taken apart. But it's a relatively straightforward enough one. Even single-handed was handy enough done. So if you're thinking of tackling yourself, give it a shot. If you're anyway iffy at all, the springs can be dangerous. The coil springs, the suspension springs, they can be a bit iffy. So if you're anyway, if you've any apprehension at all, just leave it and get it done in the garage. You'll need a few different tools, nothing major. It's all basically sockets and spanners and stuff. The Torx is a T60 bolt for the bottom one, and 13 bolt, 15 nut, a 15 nut down below for the drop link, and then 3 13s up the top. And that's it. So if you have any questions, post them in the comments, and if you like the video, just subscribe and give us an thumbs up. That'd be appreciated. Thank you. So that's the spring compressor tools that I used there. Yeah, relatively cheap. Anyone should be able to pick them up. Any motor factors will have them in stock. The car is being put back together now. It's back having been brought on a road test. No bumps and any strange noises or anything like that, so it's all going well. This car failed the NCT on a suspension imbalance in the NCT. The car test here in Ireland. It was an imbalance, so one shock, the driver's side was actually worse than the passenger side, but I always recommended to change them in pairs, not to change the one. If you put one on, the older shock will show up most likely as an imbalance. Then on that side is the weaker shock, the one that passed the first time out. So yeah, there you go. Anyway, any questions, just post them below and I'll get back to you. Thank you.